थोड़ी हम हिंदी में समरी कर लेते हैं ज़रा। सबसे पहला जो अजान ने हमसे जो कमेंट्री की थी वो जो पेज 48 पे रिफ्लेक्शन ऑन इम्परमानेंस है, अनिच्च पे जो चैंट हम करते हैं उसके ऊपर उन्होंने कमेंट्री की। और संक्षिप्त में वो ये कह रहे थे कि वो खुद अपनी प्रैक्टिस में इसको काफ़ी यूज़ करते हैं और मेनली इसका जो वो उपयोग बता रहे थे, एक तो कि ये एक छोटा सा शॉर्ट कॉन्टम्पलेशन है और इसको बार बार जब हम दोहराते हैं, स्पेशली मेमोरी से जब हम दोहराते हैं तो इससे बड़ी मदद मिलती है। जो अनिच्च की संज्ञा है, जो अनिच्च का रिकलेक्शन है, वो अलग अलग तरीक़ों से हमारे कॉन्शियसनेस में आने लगता है और हमें अनिच्च रिपीट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है अगर इस कॉन्टम्पलेशन को हम एक्सटेंसिवली यूज़ करें। इसको वो कहते हैं कि ये एक हम मेडिटेशन ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं, जहाँ पे हम जो थॉट्स हैं उनका उठना और व्यय हो जाना देख सकते हैं ब्रेथ के साथ साथ, सांस के साथ साथ। इसी तरह से वो बताते हैं कि इससे जो हमारी आदत है, जो हैबिट पैटर्न है, वो बदलने में मदद होती है। और फिर जो ये जो इम्परमानेंस का रिफ्लेक्शन है, एक तरह से ये हमारा रेफ्यूज बन जाता है। मतलब कि हम जो भी अलग अलग हमारे रोज़मर्रा के जीवन में एक्सपीरियंसेस होते हैं, उनको हम एक कंटिन्यूस तरीके से, एक लगातार जो अनिच्च का जो लेंस है उसके थ्रू ऐसा संभव है कि हम एक्सपीरियंसेस को उसके थ्रू देखें, और ना केवल कि जब हम फॉर्मल मेडिटेशन कर रहे हों तभी हम अनिच्च दोहराएं, बल्कि जो जीवन में चीज़ें, अलग अलग चीज़ें हो रही होती हैं, उनमें जो इम्परमानेंस छुपी हुई है, उनमें जो अनसर्टेनिटी छुपी हुई है, वो फिर हमारे मन का सेकंड नेचर बनने लगती है। ये पहला उनका कमेंट्री थी। जो उनकी काफ़ी लंबी दूसरी कमेंट्री थी, वो प्राइमरीली जो मरणानुसति है, जो कि हमने की, जो इसी संखारा का, जो अनिच्च का जो रिफ्लेक्शन है, उसी के अंदर ये मरणानुसति भी शामिल है। जब ये कहा जाता है कि अधुवम जीवितम ध्रुवम मरणं, फिर इट इज़ इनएविटेबल आई विल डाई, डेथ इज़ अ कल्मिनेशन ऑफ माई लाइफ। और फिर वो जो आखिर में वो जो एक छोटा सा 4 लाइंस का जो एक तरीके से उसको थाईलैंड में मंत्र की तरह यूज़ किया जाता है, ख़ास करके जब क्रिमेशंस होती हैं उस समय पे, अनिच्चवत संखारा उपादवय धम्मिनो उपज्जित्वा निरुझन्ति ते संवपस्मो सुखो। तो ये जो इसका आखिरी पार्ट है, जो 4 लाइंस हैं, इसको एक्सटेंसिवली थाईलैंड में यूज़ करते हैं जब फॉर्मल फ्यूनरल्स होती हैं उसमें। तो इसमें अजान केवली की कमेंट्री ये थी कि इस तरह से ये जो मरणानुसति है वो कई जगहों पर सुत्त में भी कई जगहों पर आती है, और बहुत सारे टीचर्स जो हैं वो इसको कोट करते हैं, इसका रेफरेंस देते हैं। और इसके कई उन्होंने आयाम बताए हमें। एक तो कि इससे हमारी एक एक्सेप्टेंस हमारे मन में आ सकती है जब हम इसको दोहराते हैं और इस पे रिफ्लेक्ट करते हैं कि सारी जो कंडीशन चीज़ें हैं, और हमारे जीवन में हर चीज़ जो है वो कंडीशनड है एक तरीके से। तो जो भी कंडीशन चीज़ें हैं वो लास्ट नहीं करती, वो परमानेंट नहीं होती हैं। और तो इस कॉन्टम्पलेशन को बार बार दोहराने से जो अलग अलग हमारे एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं, उनको हम एक प्रॉब्लम की, हम इस हैबिट पैटर्न से बाहर आ सकते हैं कि उनको हम एक प्रॉब्लम की तरह देखें, एक दिक्कत की तरह देखें। और लेकिन एक हमें कॉशन भी वो करते हैं कि असल में कई बार थाई ट्रेडिशन में एक ये भी भाव रहता है कि मैं बैटल करता हूँ मेरी डिफाइलमेंट्स के साथ, और जो मेरे डेथ से रिलेटेड जो डर हैं, भय हैं, उनसे मैं एक मैचो तरीके से, एक बहुत ही एग्रेसिव तरीके से उसमें बैटल करता हूँ। वो कह रहे हैं उस तरीके से भी इसको इतना ज़्यादा देखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बल्कि एक रेस्टिंग इन पीस, जो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं एक रिलैक्स्ड शांत मन से इन चीज़ों को अपने मन में दोहराऊँ, जो जो मृत्यु की जो इनएविटेबिलिटी है, और जो हर चीज़ जो कंडीशनड है, वो चाहे लोग हों चाहे सिचुएशंस हों, वो सारी ही चीज़ें जो उत्पन्न हुई हैं वो ज़रूर कभी ना कभी ख़त्म हो जाएंगी। ये एक और चीज़ उन्होंने बताई कि ये जो आखिरी की 4 लाइनें हैं जो पेज 49 पे हैं, वो असल में महापरिनिब्बाण सूत्र में होती हैं, जहाँ जो जब बुद्ध का परिनिब्बाण हो रहा है, जो हिस्टोरिक सिद्धार्थ गौतम थे, उनका जब महापरिनिब्बाण हो रहा है, तो ये देवास ने जो ये लाइनें कही थी। और इन लाइनों पे काफ़ी उन्होंने एक्सटेंसिव कमेंट्री की सुबह। जैसे मैंने बताया, तो थाईलैंड में फ्यूनरल्स में ये यूज़ किया जाता है, और इस चैंट के बाद वहाँ ऐसी प्रथा है कि जो शव होता है, जो कॉप्स होता है, उस पर जो सफ़ेद चद्दर लपेटी हुई होती है वो निकाल ली जाती है, और अक्सर कई मंक्स जो हैं वो अपने कुछ रोब्स उस कपड़े से बनाते हैं, ताकि उनको इस बात की बार बार याद आती रहे कि ये कपड़ा भी जो मैंने पहना है, जो रोब्स पहने हैं, चीवर पहने हैं, वो एक मृत शरीर से निकले हुए हैं, और उसके आसपास वो शरीर उसमें लिपटा हुआ था। अजान ने ये भी बताया कि ये जो मरुणानुसति है, कई बार इसको एक टॉपिक, एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट माना जाता है जो लोग जिसके बारे में डिस्कस नहीं करना चाहते हैं, जिसके बारे में मेडिटेशन तो खैर नहीं ही करना चाहते हैं। और तो इसलिए जब हम इसको अनुसति की तरह यूज़ करते हैं, और इस चैंट को जब हम याद करते हैं और लगातार सुबह शाम इसको दोहराते हैं, और दोहराने के समय हम इन शब्दों पे अपना मन ले जाते हैं, तो ये हमें मदद करती है। एक तो इस सारी जो डेथ की प्रोसेस है उसको एक नेचुरल, प्राकृतिक, नैसर्गिक प्रक्रिया की तरह देखने में, और दूसरा ये फिर इस तरह से भी हम इसको देख सकते हैं कि ये सिर्फ किसी और के लिए नहीं है, बल्कि ये मेरे शरीर के साथ, मेरे साथ भी ऐसा ही होने वाला है। और हम एक विजुअलाइजेशन, एक मन में कल्पना चला सकते हैं कि मेरी बॉडी इस तरह से जो यहाँ डिस्क्राइब्ड है कि अयम कायो, दिस बॉडी, अचीरंग अपेत विज्ञानो विल बी वॉइड ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस, शुद्धो कास्ट अवे, और ज़मीन पे पड़ी होगी, अधि से सती पथविम कलिंगरंग युवा, ज़मीन पे इस तरह से पड़ी होगी जिस तरह से एक लकड़ी का टुकड़ा जो बिल्कुल बेकार हो चुका है, निरर्थंग, कम्प्लीटली वर्ड ऑफ यूज़, पड़ा रहता है। तो इस तरह से हम इसको अपने इमेजिनेशन, अपने कल्पना कर सकते हैं कि मेरी बॉडी के साथ भी ये होने वाला है। और इससे काफ़ी एक विराग की भावना जाग सकती है, अगर हम इसको लगातार बार बार विजडम के साथ, समझ और अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ करें। लेकिन ये बहुत पॉपुलर नहीं है इसी कारण से कि इससे कुछ एवर्जन भी जग सकता है, तो इसलिए इसमें काफ़ी विजडम और अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ करना इसको ज़रूरी है, ना कि एक मैकेनिकल प्रोसेस की तरह। तो इसी बात पर उन्होंने और टिप्पणी की कि इस ऐसी कॉन्टेम्पलेशंस करने के लिए, ऐसे मेडिटेशंस, अनुसति करने के लिए कुछ करेज भी चाहिए होती है, जो कि एक मूल समझ, मूल अंडरस्टैंडिंग से आती है कि असल में ये जो पासिंग अवे का प्रिंसिपल है, ये हर चीज़ में है और मेरे अंदर भी है। तो इस भाव से अगर हम करते हैं तो उसका जो असली मकसद है, विराग जगाने का मकसद, वो कामयाब हो सकता है। और ये भी उन्होंने बताया कि हम इस तरह से भी देख सकते हैं कि ये जो डेथ का जो सारा, मृत्यु का जो सारा कॉन्टेम्पलेशन है, वो सिर्फ औरों के लिए और मेरे लिए नहीं, वो बुद्ध जैसे महापुरुष के लिए भी लागू होता था। तो सभी की तरह बुद्ध को भी डेथ का सामना करना पड़ा था। एक इसके कुछ फ़ायदे उन्होंने बताए। एक तो विराग की भावना, दूसरा एक इंडिपेंडेंस, स्वतंत्रता जागती है कि मेरा जो रेफ्यूज है वो किसी और चीज़ में नहीं है, बाहर कहीं नहीं है, बल्कि मेरे खुद के अंदर है। तो ये इसका एक उपयोग हो सकता है। और फाइनली कि इससे मन एक स्थिरता और शांति की स्थिति में ड्वेल कर सकता है, ऐसी परिस्थितियों में भी जब हमें डेथ का सामना करना पड़ता है, चाहे किसी और के लिए, चाहे अपने खुद के लिए। तो डेथ कॉन्टम्पलेशन का इन्होंने सुबह काफ़ी बात की सुबह के सत्र में। और ये भी कहा कि जो गृहस्थ हैं वो तो काफ़ी हेजिटेट करते हैं इसको यूज़ करने से, बल्कि मंक्स में भी ये कोई बहुत प्रचलित, बहुत पॉपुलर साधना नहीं है। और कई लोग ने हमने पढ़ा है कि अजान चा ने अपना एक एक्सपीरियंस डिस्क्राइब किया था जब उन्होंने जो शमशान भूमि होती है उसमें कुछ समय बिताया था। और इसका उनके लिए मकसद ये था कि जो मृत्यु से जुड़ी डर की भावना है उसको वो फेस करें। ये नहीं कि वो मृत्यु को फेस कर रहे थे, इशू ये नहीं था। मुद्दा ये था कि मन में उसके प्रति जो एक कंडीशन भावना है बहुत, जो जिससे बहुत भय जागता है जब हम डेथ के बारे में सोचते हैं, या उसके आसपास जो चार्नल ग्राउंड्स होते हैं जहाँ बॉडीज़ को जलाया जाता है, या उस ज़माने में तो फेंक दिया जाता था। तो ऐसी सब जगहों पे जाने से जो भय की भावना है उसको अजान चा पहले तो उठाने की कोशिश जगाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, और फिर उसको फेस करने की सारी उनकी कोशिश थी। एक और चीज़ उन्होंने बताई कि इस ट्रेडिशन में जो ये मरणानुसति है उसको ऐसा नहीं है कि कंटिन्यूसली वही करते रहते हैं, पर बल्कि उसको कई सारे और अलग अलग कॉन्टम्पलेशंस, अलग अलग साधनाओं के साथ कंबाइन किया जाता है, जैसे कि आनापानासति के साथ। और इसी तरह से जो और भी उन्होंने बातें जो और मेडिटेशंस जो और कॉन्टम्पलेशंस डिस्क्राइब की थी, उनको भी वो बताते हैं कि वो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि अब हमने अगर एक चीज़ उठा ली तो सिर्फ हम उसी को करते रहें। ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो आपस में अदल बदल के यूज़ होती हैं, उनको पेयर उनकी जोड़ियाँ बनाई जाती हैं, जिससे कि दोनों चीज़ें जो इंसाइट है और जो समथ की भावना है, जिससे कि मन शांत होता है, ट्रैंक्विल होता है, ये दोनों मकसद जो हैं हल होते हैं। तो उन्होंने काफ़ी एग्जांपल्स दिए इस बात के कि जब वो आनापान यूज़ करते हैं तो मेनली वो उसको एक समथ, एक ट्रैंक्विलिटी की तरह यूज़ करते हैं। और जो 32 पार्ट्स का कॉन्टम्पलेशन है, या डेथ कॉन्टम्पलेशन है, या इस तरह के जो एनालिटिकल मेडिटेशंस हैं जिसमें कि हम थॉट जिसमें हम बुद्धि का उपयोग करते हैं, वो हमें इंसाइट, विपस्सना जगाने में मदद करते हैं। तो उन्होंने कहा कि विपस्सना शब्द को जो है उसको हमें उसके सही जो उसका सही असली का मतलब है उस हिसाब से समझना चाहिए, ना कि एक टेक्निक के हिसाब से। तो उस विपस्सना का मतलब इंसाइट होता है कि मैं चीज़ों को उस तरह से देख पाऊँ जिस तरह से कि वो वास्तव में हैं, बजाय उस तरह के जिस तरह से वो मुझे लगती हैं, या जिस तरह से कि मेरी कंडीशन्ड एक आदत बन चुकी है चीज़ों को देखने की। तो मैं मेडिटेशन को एक एस्केप की तरह ना देखूं, ना यूज़ करूं, किसी अनप्लेजेंट जो अनप्लेजेंट स्थिति है उससे दूर भागने के लिए, या उसको उस स्थिति को बदलने के लिए ना यूज़ करूं। जिस तरह से उन्होंने उदाहरण दिया, कई बार हम म्यूज़िक या खाने का इस्तेमाल करते हैं मन में अगर अनप्लेजेंटनेस है, बेचैनी है, उसको हटाने के लिए। तो वो उस तरह से मेडिटेशन का हम उस तरह से मेडिटेशन को ना देखें, ना यूज़ करें, बजाय इस तरह से उसको यूज़ करें कि जो डायरेक्टली चीज़ें अनप्लेजेंट हैं, जिन चीज़ों से हमें दुख या सफरिंग या लैक ऑफ ईजफुलनेस होती है, मन में रेस्टलेसनेस होती है, उन चीज़ों को हम डायरेक्टली कन्फ्रंट करें। ये एक इस्तेमाल इनसाइट मेडिटेशन प्रैक्टिसेस का, विपस्सना मेडिटेशन प्रैक्टिसेस का, जो इस अलग अलग कॉन्टम्पलेशंस बता रहे हैं उनका वो हमें सजेस्ट कर रहे हैं। तो फॉरेस्ट ट्रेडिशन जो अजान चा का ट्रेडिशन है, उसमें ये जो अलग अलग मेथड्स जो है 32 पार्ट्स, अशुभ भावना, डेथ कॉन्टम्पलेशन, इम्परमानेंस की जो कॉन्टम्पलेशंस हैं, उनको अलग अलग कॉम्बिनेशंस में यूज़ किया जाता है। चाहे उसको आनापानासति के साथ पेयर किया जाता है, या आपस में इनको पेयर किया जाता है, और अदल बदल के वो उसको यूज़ करते हैं। जैसे कि वो बता भी रहे थे, मेरे ख्याल से कल बता रहे थे कि वो जो अपनी माला का है इस्तेमाल इस तरह से करते हैं कि कुछ समय वो बुद्धानुसति करते हैं, धम्मानुसति और संघानुसति। इसी तरह से ये जो अलग अलग कॉन्टम्पलेशंस हैं, इनको आपस में क्रिएटिवली हम पेयर कर सकते हैं, और उस तरह से भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं। एक और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात अजान ने ये बताई कि हम यूजुअली इस तरह से समझते हैं कि पहले हमें मन को शांत करना है समत के थ्रू, ट्रैंक्विलिटी के थ्रू, और उस शांत मन से हम इनसाइट मेडिटेशन करते हैं, जो कि अपने आप में ठीक है। लेकिन उसका रिवर्स भी कई बार इस्तेमाल होता है। उसका रिवर्स भी सही है कि हम ये जो एनालिटिकल कॉन्टम्पलेशंस हैं, ये जब हम विजडम से करते हैं, बार बार करते हैं, तो इससे भी मन में एक स्थिरता जागती है। तो पन्या भी हमें समत की तरफ, ट्रैंक्विलिटी की तरफ ले जा सकती है। सिर्फ ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है कि ये यूनिडायरेक्शनल है, कि एक ही दिशा में होता है, कि हमेशा पहले मुझे आनापान से शुरू करना है या किसी भी और समत की प्रैक्टिस से शुरू करना है और फिर इनसाइट डेवलपमेंट होगी। ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है। वो एक रास्ता सही है, पर ये रास्ता भी सही है कि अगर मेरा मन काफ़ी क्रिएटिव है और काफ़ी एक्टिव मन है, तो उसमें हम ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं कि ये जो एनालिटिकल मेडिटेशंस हैं, ये जो इनसाइट मेडिटेशंस हैं, उनके इस्तेमाल से भी मन में ट्रैंक्विलिटी और समत जग सकता है। सो कोई एक फिक्स्ड फॉर्मेट नहीं है इन चीज़ों का। ये हमें अपने मन की स्थिति के अनुसार चूज़ करना होता है कि हम कैसे इनको, इन मेडिटेशंस को इस्तेमाल करें। अजान चा का वो एग्जांपल देते हैं कि अजान चा बार बार इस बात पे फोकस किया करते थे कि ये जो विपस्सना और समत मेडिटेशंस हैं, ये अलग अलग नहीं, इनको ऐसे क्रम सीक्वेंस में नहीं देखना चाहिए, बल्कि ये एक ही चीज़ के दो पहलू हैं, अलग अलग जो दो साइड्स हैं एक ही चीज़ के। और वो ये भी अजान ने बताया कि अजान चा कभी इस तरह से प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं किया करते थे कि देखिए इतनी समत के बाद आप विपस्सना कर सकते हैं, ऐसे कॉन्सेप्ट्स वो नहीं किया करते थे, बल्कि वो ये इनकरेज करते थे कि हर साधक जो है, चाहे वो मंक हो चाहे गृहस्थ हो, वो अपना खुद के समझ के अनुसार अपना तरीका वर्कआउट करे कि कितनी ट्रैंक्विलिटी उसके लिए ज़रूरी है, क्या पहले ट्रैंक्विलिटी ज़रूरी है हर स्थिति में, या कभी मैं इनसाइट भी पहले यूज़ कर सकता हूँ जिससे ट्रैंक्विलिटी जागे, वगैरह वगैरह। तो ये जो कॉम्बिनेशंस हैं, वो अजान चा इनकरेज किया करते थे अपने स्टूडेंट्स को कि खुद टेस्ट करके, एक्सपेरिमेंट करके, ट्रायल एंड एरर करके वो अपने लिए डेवलप करें। और अजान केवली खुद काफ़ी अलग अलग ये जो विभिन्न कॉन्टेम्पलेशंस हैं, इनके बीच में टॉगल करते हैं, अदल बदल के यूज़ करते हैं। तो वो बताते हैं कि मन कैसी परिस्थिति में है, या जनरली हम जीवन के कैसे फेज़ से गुजर रहे हैं, उस पर काफ़ी डिपेंड करता है कि हम क्या यूज़ करते हैं। और ये हमें आज़मा के देखना ज़रूरी है, इसको हमें ट्राई करना काफ़ी ज़रूरी है। कोई इसको हम ये ना समझें कि बस यही सीक्वेंस है, इसी तरह से होना चाहिए, यही ठीक है, ऐसा कुछ है नहीं। ये सब इंटरचेंजेबल हैं, और इन्हें वो हमें इनवाइट कर रहे हैं कि हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करें, इन चीज़ों को ट्राई करें, और ऐसे प्रोसेस से अपने लिए एक बुके, एक सिलेक्शन तैयार कर पाएँ मेडिटेशंस का, जो हमारे पास अवेलेबल हों, अलग अलग मन की परिस्थितियों के लिए, अलग अलग स्थितियों के लिए जो हमारे जीवन में उत्पन्न होती हैं। उसमें हम ये अनुसतियाँ जो हैं, ये जो कॉन्टेम्पलेशंस हैं, इनको इस्तेमाल कर सकें। तो ये तो इनकी कमेंट्री थी सुबह। और फिर 2 या 3 सवाल थे। पहला सवाल ये था कि जो राइट स्पीच है, जो सारा सम्मा वाचा का जो सारा पैराडाइम है, उसको हम एक वर्क एनवायरनमेंट में किस तरह से यूज़ करें। तो अजान केवली ने कहा कि ये काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है, और हम में से बहुत सारे लोग स्पीच का जो सारा एरिया है, उसमें काफ़ी हमें मुश्किल होती है, स्ट्रगल करते हैं हम, क्योंकि स्पीच अक्सर जो हमारे इमोशंस हैं, जो विकार हैं, उससे कलर होके, उससे टार्निश होके निकलती है। तो कुछ उन्होंने बिंदु बताए, पर उन्होंने हमें कॉशन किया कि इन बिंदुओं को हम इस सीमा में समझें, इस राइडर के साथ समझें कि ये कुछ जनरल पॉइंट्स वो बता रहे हैं, और हमें इनको एक प्रिंसिपल की तरह समझना है, ना कि एक बहुत स्पष्ट प्रिस्क्रिप्शन की तरह। तो पहला पॉइंट जो उन्होंने बताया कि टाइमिंग का इसमें काफ़ी रोल होता है सम्मा वाचा को सेफगार्ड करने में, राइट स्पीच को अपहोल्ड करने में। ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि कोई भी अगर स्टिमुलेशन आती है बाहर से, तो उसका हम तुरंत जवाब दें, ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है। हम अपने जो रिएक्शन की भावना है, जो जवाब देने की जो अंदर से उत्तेजना है उसको हम पोस्टपोन करने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं। और उन्होंने अपने खुद के बारे में ये बताया, जो हम सब देखते हैं इन्हें यूज़ करते हुए। वो अक्सर कहते, अगर कोई इन्हें अप्रोच करता है किसी चीज़ के साथ, तो अक्सर कहते हैं अच्छा मुझे सोचने दीजिए इस बारे में। या कई बार वो कहते हैं लेट मी स्लीप ओवर इट। तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो तुरंत, अगर कुछ भी उनसे सवाल पूछा जाता है या कोई ऐसी परिस्थिति उठती है जो चैलेंजिंग परिस्थिति है या जिससे मन में उत्तेजना जागती है, तो उसको तुरंत जवाब देना ज़रूरी नहीं है। उसको अगर पोस्टपोन कर सकें तो वो एक काफ़ी स्किलफुल तरीका होता है ये इंश्योर करने का कि जो स्पीच है वो एक रिएक्टिव इमोशनली कलर्ड तरीके से ना निकले, बल्कि एक कुशल तरीके से हम ऐसी स्थिति को हैंडल कर पाएँ। ज़रूर ये चीज़ इस बात पे निर्भर करती है कि हमारे पास कितना समय उपलब्ध है, हम कितनी अलग अलग चीज़ों को एक साथ जगल कर रहे हैं। अगर हमारी लाइफ इस तरह से स्ट्रक्चर्ड है कि उसमें कंटिन्यूअसली लगातार एक चीज़ के बाद दूसरी चीज़ हो रही है, एक इनपुट के बाद दूसरा इनपुट आ रहा है, हम कंटिन्यूअसली एंगेज्ड रह रहे हैं, तो बहुत मुश्किल है ऐसी परिस्थिति में एक नॉन रिएक्टिव और स्किलफुल रिस्पॉन्स को सामने लाना। तो वो बताते हैं कि ये ब्रेक्स की काफ़ी रोल हो सकता है इसमें, कि अगर कुछ मैं बहुत बिज़ी समय है मेरा, तो उसमें मैं उस समय को ब्रेक करूं और उस दौरान मैं कुछ ना करूं। स्पेशली ये ना हो कि मैं दोबारा अगर ब्रेक लिया है तो उसमें फ़ोन को देख रहा हूँ या कुछ सुन रहा हूँ या कुछ पढ़ रहा हूँ या टेलीविज़न देखा जा रहा है वगैरह वगैरह। सो ये ब्रेक जो है वो काफ़ी हेल्प कर सकता है। जो एक एक श्रृंखला बनी होती है इमोशनल थॉट्स की, रिएक्टिवनेस की, उसको ब्रेक करने में। उन्होंने काफ़ी एग्जांपल्स अपनी खुद की स्थिति, मोनेस्ट्री की स्थिति से दिए कि कई बार ऐसी परिस्थिति उठती है कि हमें कोई चीज़ बहुत जल्दी से करनी है, कोई विज़िट आ रहा है, कोई आ रहा है बाहर से, या कुछ ऐसे करने की ज़रूरत पड़ी है। तो और ऐसी स्थिति में ये संभव है कि हम जिस थरोनेस से, जिन स्टैंडर्ड्स के साथ उस चीज़ को करना चाहें, वो हम ना कर पाएँ। तो इसको हम कई बार वो खुद अपने एक्सपीरियंस में एक मजाक का एलिमेंट इसमें इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं, जिससे कि मन थोड़ा जो उत्तेजित हुआ है क्योंकि एक इमीडिएटली कुछ चीज़ करने की ज़रूरत पड़ रही है, उसको वो ह्यूमर के थ्रू, मजाक के थ्रू उसको थोड़ा ब्रेक किया जाए। वो कहते हैं इससे जो किसी भी स्थिति का जो एक ठोसपन, भारीपन होता है, वो हल्का हो सकता है, हल्का होने में उसमें मदद हो सकती है। और जो एक बहुत रश्डनेस की स्थिति होती है, मतलब जल्दी कुछ इस चीज़ को करना है, उसको भी ब्रेक करने में मदद मिलती है। और इसमें दो इन्होंने शायद समरी 3 प्रिंसिपल्स उन्होंने हमें दिए। एक तो कि जैसे मैंने पहले बताया, किसी चीज़ को तुरंत करना ज़रूरी नहीं है। दूसरा कि हम ऐसा कुछ भी ना करें किसी भी परिस्थिति में जिससे जो शील हैं वो कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ हों। ये काफ़ी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट लिटमस टेस्ट है। तो अगर चाहे वो स्पीच, वाचा की स्थिति का सब्जेक्ट हो या कोई भी और चीज़ हो, अगर उस परिस्थिति में हमारा शील कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ हो रहा है, तो वो स्थिति में हमें तुरंत सतर्क हो जाना चाहिए कि इसमें कुछ गड़बड़ है और इसको हम ना करें। किसी भी हालत में शील का उल्लंघन ना हो, कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ ना हो। और वो कहते हैं कि कई बार किसी चीज़ को धीरे, कम गति से करना, इतना थरोली ना करना ज़्यादा अच्छा हो सकता है। लेकिन उसको किसी भी तरीके से जो हमारे बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, शील हैं, वो कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ ना हो। तो स्लोअर बट करेक्ट, जैसा उन्होंने कहा, वो ज़्यादा प्रेफरेबल तरीका है इसको करने का, कोई भी ऐसी स्थिति को हैंडल करने का। तो संक्षिप्त में टाइम लीजिए। अगर किसी रिस्पॉन्स को टालने की ज़रूरत है, रिएक्शन को टालने की ज़रूरत, उसको टाल दीजिए तुरंत। टालने का ये मतलब नहीं है कि फिर मैं कुछ करूँ ही नहीं, ये मतलब नहीं है, बट विद विजडम एंड विद अंडरस्टैंडिंग। दूसरा, शील को ना वो किया जाए, कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ ना किया जाए। और तीसरी चीज़ उसमें जो उन्होंने प्रिंसिपल में बताई वो ये है कि अगर एक मैत्री का भाव हम कोशिश करें मन में रखने की, जगाने की, तो उससे कई बार जो हार्श स्पीच होती है वो टोन डाउन होने में मदद होती है। तो सम्मा वाचा का जो सवाल था उसका उन्होंने ब्रॉडली इस तरीके से जवाब दिया। फिर अगला सवाल कुछ इससे रिलेटेड था, वो मल्टीटास्किंग के सिलसिले में था कि हमारे स्पेशली गृहस्थ जीवन में बहुत चीज़ें एक साथ उठती हैं, तो हम उनको कैसे हैंडल करें। खासकर कि स्पष्ट सवाल ये था कि ऐसी परिस्थिति में काम रहना, मन की स्थिरता ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है, या जो अलग अलग चीज़ें हो रही हैं उनका आउटपुट, उन चीज़ों को कंप्लीट करना, एक्टिविटी सेंटर्डनेस इम्पॉर्टेंट है, क्या चीज़ ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है। तो अजन केवली ने कहा कि जब प्रिंसिपल तो यह है कि कामनेस जो है, जो मन की स्थिरता है, वो ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है। लेकिन असली इशू ये है कि हमारा अंदर का एटीट्यूड क्या है। क्या मैं इतनी सारी जो चीज़ें एक साथ कर रहा हूँ, क्या सच में इतना सारा करना ज़रूरी है। क्या जो ये अलग अलग प्रोजेक्ट्स, अलग अलग स्थितियाँ उठ रही हैं, जो अलग अलग चीज़ों में मैं इन्वॉल्व हूँ, क्या ये इसलिए उठ रही हैं क्योंकि मेरे अंदर जो बेसिक चेतना है वो ऐसी है कि मैं ये भी करूँ, मैं वो भी करूँ, मैं ये भी प्राप्त करूँ, मैं वो भी प्राप्त करूँ, मैं ये प्रोजेक्ट भी करूँ, मैं वो प्रोजेक्ट भी करूँ। तो जो वांटिंग और अचीविंग की भावना है, क्या वो इन चीज़ों को ड्राइव कर रही है। तो ये एक रिफ्लेक्शन हो सकती है जब हम देखते हैं कि बहुत सारी जीवन में मैं बहुत चीज़ों को जगल कर रहा हूँ, बहुत मल्टीटास्किंग हो रही है। तो ये सवाल पूछा जा सकता है कि क्या इतना सारा, ये सारी चीज़ें जो इनके पीछे क्या है, इतनी सारी चीज़ें मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ। क्योंकि मूल रूप से सभी चीज़ों को, अगर मैं बहुत प्रोजेक्ट्स, बहुत एक्टिविटीज़ में शामिल, तो सभी चीज़ों को जस्टिस कर पाना, अच्छी तरीके से कर पाना संभव नहीं है। तो इसमें हम एक रिस्ट्रेन की तरह इसको रिस्ट्रेन का भाव ला सकते हैं, कि मैं नई चीज़ें, नए प्रोजेक्ट्स, नई गतिविधियाँ तुरंत ना शुरू करूँ, इनिशिएट ना करूँ। उसको हम कर्म की तरह से भी देख सकते हैं। अगर मैं कोई नई चीज़ें शुरू करूँगा तो मुझे ही उनको संभालना पड़ेगा, उनके जो रिपरकशंस हैं, उनके जो इफ़ेक्ट्स हैं, वो आगे चल के मुझे ही हैंडल करने पड़ेंगे मल्टीटास्किंग के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में। तो फाइनली उन्होंने इस बारे में यही कहा कि इज़ इट रियली वाइज टू एक्सेप्ट अनदर ड्यूटी, टास्क, प्रोजेक्ट एट्सेट्रा। क्या असल में मुझे और चीज़ें, नई चीज़ें टेकअप करना ज़रूरी है असल में। ये सवाल हम अपने आप से पूछ सकते हैं। तो ये 2 सवाल थे। दरअसल साहब जो तीसरा सवाल था, मे बी पायल यू कैन जस्ट समराइज इट, मे बी इट माइट बी इजी बिकॉज आई डोंट हैव नोट्स फॉर इट। जो आपका सवाल था। Ajahn, Payal was just about to summarize in Hindi her question and your response. So if she can take a moment to do that, and then if you would like to fill in something, because I had actually missed that. I didn't have the notes for that one. So.
मेरा क्वेश्चन था, हेलो, द क्वेश्चन वाज कि चैनल ग्राउंड का जो मेडिटेशन होता है, द मेडिटेशन विच इज़ प्रैक्टिस्ड ओवर देयर, उसका पर्पस क्या है? क्या वो काम तन्हा के लिए है स्पेसिफिकली, या हमारा अत्ता तोड़ने के लिए है? सो और उसको क्या ले पीपल कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि अगर कोई भी चीज़ हम विदाउट अ गाइड करते हैं तो उसमें ऐसे एक्सट्रीम मेडिटेशन फॉर्म में गलत उसका नेगेटिव वो जाने का ज़्यादा वो रहता है। जैसे अजान ने कल बताया था कि कुछ मंक्स ने सुसाइड कर लिया था जब उन्होंने 32 पार्ट्स वाला किया था। तो अजान ने, मैं बहुत क्रक्स बता रही हूँ उसका, अजान ने बोला ये अपने उसका पर्सनल वो होता है, आप उसे किस उसके लिए यूज़ करते हैं। और उसका उन्होंने थर्ड ऑप्शन दिया था उसका, उन्होंने ये नहीं बोला कि वो कामतना के लिए है या वो अत्ता के लिए है, उन्होंने उसका थर्ड ऑप्शन दिया था। वो ऑप्शन मुझे सोचना है, 1 मिनट। हाँ यार।
Yeah, if there are any other points or remarks on the things that I've already mentioned, I'm happy to hear some of the feedback, questions or additions or concerns. So I can also continue because the last point that we ended off before the meal is an important one, is that the teachings of the Buddha that center around the more unpleasant topics like asubha kammatthana, the loathsomeness of the body, or the marananusati, the contemplation of death. I think we can do them, and it's fair enough to get an angle on how to integrate them into our practice, but they should be well integrated in our practice that gives us a backing in wholesome dhammas, like some practices that are on the side of reaffirming the immediate feeling of this is peaceful, this is brings up happiness. So one measuring stick is always, does it lead to peace? Does it lead to a cessation of unwholesome mind states if we do a practice? And this is very important. The way I'm used to approaching these contemplations is actually reaffirmed by the feeling I have around doing them. It is not something that I feel pressured to do, or I feel like there is an attitude, you have to do those, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere, you're not going to do the real practice or so. There's more a feeling of, it's in line with the teachings of the Buddha, of feeling a sense of dispassion, a sense of equanimity, a sense of uplift, taking oneself out of the context of the average mind states where one is subject to being caught on the wrong foot somehow, or being caught in a situation of dukkha with no perspective on it. So contemplating the body, we can approach from our intuition towards how we relate to the body, and try to work on simply realizing this is the body. This is not what I think the body is, but it is something that belongs to nature. That is something that is in line with all the other bodies that we can see around. So like kind of the funny example of our nails are not much different than the elephant nails or a tortoise shell or so. Just to get a connection rather than a separation from nature, and that is an uplifting feeling, a feeling of being integrated. And if anything leads to the view I am not, I should be, I should not be, then that's not the way to practice. It should dissolve the feeling of identification, and identification can be both positive or negative. And I believe that generally we are prone to get infatuated with desires, with good sights, good sounds, good tastes, good tangibles, like tactile sensations that are pleasant and so forth. Like, for example, giving a pat in Thailand is common that Ajahns pat little kids, like little boys, saying you should come and be a monk, yeah, and so stroking over the head, and these affective feelings that one has, even fatherly, motherly affection. Sometimes, yeah, they feel pleasant, and they're agreeable, and they're warm, but they're in one way, if we can use that energy rather than having it personal, but dispersing the energy into something, this is natural. Like I can be brother, sister, I can be mother, father with all kinds of beings. I can be relating to other bodies, not in the sense of I like them, I don't like them, I feel affected by them, I don't feel affected by them. I just see, wow, this is part of the variety of nature. I'm not different than anybody else. We're all built out of the same components. We're all built out of the same tendencies. Some emotional, say, building blocks. For example, the tendency to greed. You can watch very well in small little children, and no matter how sweet they are, they're pretty greedy. If you put out a cake in front of them, they'll have it, and the anger. If you have a stubborn little kid, it's pretty nasty how aggressive sometimes cute little children can be, and the ignorance. If a kid asks you all day, why? You just think, come on, just accept things. don't just play with this innocence of asking all the time. Be intelligent, figure it out. So we can see the building blocks of other living beings, and we see them both physically and also mentally. And that sense of integration, that I'm not different than other beings, I'm not different than with my tendencies than other beings. This is like a unifying factor, helps us from being isolated and helps us from feeling other than other beings, and part of nature. So to practice the 32 parts of the body, for example, brings one back to seeing one's own body in a different light, in a different way. And for example, myself being in Thailand, usually I stand out, and Thai people are very friendly, and they're very, say, affectionate, they're very hospitable. The other monks sometimes really praise me a lot, like saying, oh, you're so nice, tall, and look how white your skin is, and even, this furry loma here on my arm, they say, oh, so wonderful, you're so well protected against mosquitoes, they don't bite you, wonderful. And I just go back on my walking meditation part and sing Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho, hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, and Achatang Vakaye, Bahita Vakaye, like the other bodies, the external bodies, internal bodies, whatever. I'm not different than they are. It's just all of us are 32 parts of the body. We go to the hospital, and there's some pretty female nurses running around. Like these days, dressed up in a very attractive way. It's not like in the old days, people are kind of like very conservative, used to be very conservative, but in modern day world, everything is meant to pull your attention and pull your attention to showing so much skin that we actually have to be a bit more neutral about these things and not fall prone to all these, say, advertisement of sensuality. And so I do believe it is also applicable for people in a normal situation in cities, because there's so much more pull, much more pulls to the senses, and to be able to then from all these enticing, so let's say, objects of attention that are put towards us, to go from those to absolute emptiness is very difficult. So sometimes we just work with it, and it is something we can imagine, like at least start with our own body and be able to revert to a dimension of one's own body that is fairly neutral. And it doesn't have to be shocking or repulsive, but it just brings a different aspect to the way we perceive ourselves and the way we perceive other people. And there's a unity in it, in that we're all the same. There's a solidarity in thinking, look, after all, we're all nature, like whatever tribe or specimen of race or whatever we are, like we're all the same, basically. And in many ways, it takes away the infatuation with the particulars of what we see, what we hear. And my main interest is when doing meditation and drowsiness, the hindrances overcome the mind, and a simple object like the breath isn't good enough to overcome that, because there's a barrier of like that one has to break through until the breath becomes so interesting that one sticks with it. And if one has like a lot of meditation going on during a day, and a lot of, like, say, simple activities that are meditative as well, and there's not much input, and sometimes then one just simply falls asleep while meditating, and this is one of the main hindrances. So this is why many times I feel contemplating the body is a good way of keeping the mind active and understanding more about one's own life in one way or the other. And I do see it much more neutral. I was pleased to look up the Rahula Ovada Sutta, where the Buddha teaches, for example, the 32 parts of the body broken up into various components. Like say, it talks about the earth element, using it explicitly to understand not self. This am I not, this is not me. But like seeing it in the earth element, like all the physical components of the body that are strong and hard, like the teeth or so, and the water element, all the elements in the body inside that are liquid, for example, the blood or saliva, digestive fluids, and so forth. And then the wind element, which we well know in ancient India, the wind element is the breath, or the bodily winds, which you can say is the energies flowing in the body. If anybody has that sensitivity and feel the balances or the energies going through the body, that's probably included in that. And then the water, the fire element, literally the temperature, if one feels feverish or hot or cold, to be able to sense that in the body. So these four are already a very, very, say, comprehensive way of exploring one's own body that keeps one focused and attentive, and builds a bridge to, like my body is, other bodies are the same. And also we can realize certain changes in the body. For example, when we do the looking at the temperatures, one inevitably notices how relative the perception on temperature is. So we don't take it as a static thing. This is it, but we know it is somehow related to the surroundings. And the Buddha talks to Venerable Rahula about the space element, which is, yesterday I mentioned the space element as the air element, but in this context the Buddha points out that the space element is, for example, the space in the ear, or the nose, or in the mouth, and any open cavity in the body. That's also interesting. I know Lompa Sumedo can talk about this a lot, like instead of being drawn towards the forms, he tries to reverse the perception about being interested in the bowl here. He's interested in the space around the bowl, or being interested in the seat. He sees the empty seat, for example. One would overlook the empty seat here, but actually Lompa Sumedo would realize there's an empty seat. Usually one grabs for the objects, grabs for those things that are looking for attention, whereas the background gets unnoticed. So there's, again, a reflective way of looking at things rather than mechanically trying to, say, control oneself to stay on one point only. This sometimes doesn't work in meditation. It does work from time to time, whenever we've done something that is like explorative and diverse. After some time, we actually want to rest, and this is what I mentioned when you want to rest, for example, on the skeleton, and just simply see the skeleton. And the skeleton, as like you mentioned, it's actually not scary. I always find it funny when people have these perceptions about skeletons. It's just like acquired by all the kind of ghost stories, cartoons, and comics that we see. Actually, skeletons in themselves aren't scary. And Luang Cha used to tease people and saying, "Why are you afraid of the skeleton that we have in the sala? Like, we have a demonstrative skeleton hanging there, and people are afraid of it." And he says, "You're carrying around a skeleton all the time. You're sleeping with your skeleton. You're going to bed with your skeleton." So must be something kind of you're very familiar with. And in terms of the Rahula Vara Sutta, the Buddha then continues as well, and giving these other active meditations, I would say. He also gives Anapanasati as a way of overcoming I am, this is me. But he also talks about the Brahma viharas and the spreading loving kindness, then compassion, and then appreciative joy, and then equanimity, or like realizing that in one's own heart, and cultivating those. So this is another topic that I wanted to talk about, and one very important one, because a lot of our chanting is also dedicated to spreading loving kindness, spreading wholesome dhammas, and this provides the context as well of why we can face death, why we can talk about things that are suffering and possibly sound unwholesome, is because we have a whole variety of wholesome karma and wholesome actions, and that we are cultivating in our practice as well. We're not just there empty-handed. We're not here on earth in a desperate state in that sense, because all of us have access to the practice. We have access to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha as guiding lights in our life. And there's a whole wholesome and positive tone to our practice already when we come to the sala and to the meditation room. We come here with a solemn attitude, an attitude of respect, an attitude of devotion, attitude of humbleness, and an attitude of veneration. And we see the value of the teachings of the Buddha. We hold it in high esteem. We are very cautious about reserving space and time for these precious practices that we're doing. We're not doing them in a casual way, but we actually dedicate ourselves to these things. So this is part of the culture that we learn when we become meditators, whether it's in a retreat or whether it's in a monastery. There's a certain etiquette, a certain compartment, a certain way we conduct ourselves towards the teachings, towards the practice itself. For example, we sit in a quiet way. We come in a peaceful way already when we enter the sala, and we observe basic manners of respect. So this is one cultural setting that helps us be careful and cautious and develop a sense of devotion and a sense of uplift. We're not treating the Dhamma books like a newspaper. We're not looking at the Dhamma books like we would look at a filthy, aggressive magazine or so. We're more or less like already inclining ourselves to say to ourselves, this is higher than our average daily life. This is something we venerate. This is something we uphold. This is something uplifting. We are having high hopes that the Dhamma and the practice will uplift ourselves. So this culture of respect and the culture of venerating or worshipping the opportunities that we have many times manifests itself in a sense of gratitude for having met the teachings of the Buddha, gratitude for being able to live in a situation where we have the time and being well enough supported that we can actually stop working for a while, and we can sit in a comfortable room. We can enjoy the company of like-minded people. We're not in a battlefield of people with wrong view constantly challenging us. We have a solidarity in that we gather here for a single purpose, and we have a sense of promise and a commitment towards cultivating a special atmosphere, and at the same time we benefit from it. So we're upholding something valuable. So we're in a culture of values. So this is small little things in the background is why we were allowed to contemplate insecurity, impermanence and so forth, because we're actually building up a culture of refuge, a culture of like support, a culture of harmony, and a culture of peace. And we can feel that, like for example, just having been in Bodh Gaya last week, felt privileged again and very grateful for this opportunity. And even though I would have wished that some of the chanting besides myself was less loud and less intrusive, I'm able to still see, wow, these are all innocent practitioners that come here with the best aspirations. Everyone wants to have a part of this beautiful opportunity to practice, and the skills in sharing are some more, some less, but everybody comes with a sense of harmlessness, a sense of respect in whatever cultural way they have it. There's nobody who's going to bully us or going to say you got it all wrong, I got it right. And even though there's differences in the various approaches towards practice and towards expressions of it, say for example different languages or even the different space. There's some people that take up a lot of space while bowing, and full body stretch, 3 steps, 1 bow. But of course nobody would say anything, and they're in the way somehow, but they're expressing their innermost respect and devotion. So we're seeing things in a different light when we're practicing the Dhamma, and this is something that carries us. So these are important things. That's also why it's important to come together as a group and practice not only alone in your flat or like applied practices in the metro with all the kind of, I can speak from Berlin metro, drunken drug addicts around, like that's what it is like in Berlin underground. It's one of the sources of feeling of being overwhelmed with samsara for myself that made me think, why am I living here? I should go to the forest. Live in a more wholesome place. And if I wasn't allowed to go to the forest for that long, that I've managed to stick with it now, like I thought at least go there for a year and then afterwards like live up country and practice in a quiet place, like and face the challenges of life and the challenges of a disharmonious society in a moderate way, not in this overwhelmingly, like say, pathologic way that it's developed in some of the big cities of the world. So the underlying culture that we have through respect, devotion, and a feeling of wholesome attitudes is something we shouldn't neglect and we should cultivate. That's why when we come into the room, for example, we pay respects, or when we see somebody else is already sitting there, we're quiet, or when a senior person comes in, we make way for her or him. And if the teacher comes, we feel particularly grateful, and because there is a particular cause for each time we come together. And it doesn't have to be Ajahn Kevali; it can be any other teacher. But like we single out sometimes certain points where our devotion or our, say, respect hinges upon as a sign of unity. Of course, for example, being in Bodh Gaya, some cynical people might say, you're walking around a pagoda of bricks and there's a tree. There's tree worshippers here, worshipping trees, the Bodhi tree. But actually, it's not the outer appearance, it's not the particular name or place. It is the meaning behind it and the symbol of it that we keep in mind, and that unifies us then. So many ways we have the same thing when we pay respects to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. In one way we see the symbolic meaning of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. As I mentioned in the reflections yesterday about Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Anusati, there's the Buddha as an ideal, as say, the abstract of all the awakening qualities that you can kind of condense in a few words or in a few perceptions or like reflections. And then there's the Buddha to be explored as a human being, as a historic person, and the like which is tangible, which could be similar to any other historic, very well developed person that we revere. There are some outstanding individuals that we come across every now and again in our life, and we hold them in high esteem and try to emphasize in our perception their good qualities and see those. For example, I'm thinking of course, the impact of Mahatma Gandhi in India, for example, as somebody who embodies like harmlessness, avihingsa, and at least in my understanding, and the or like we can have for many people around the world, His Holiness the Dalai Lama represents a Buddhist way of life, of friendliness, loving kindness, and so forth. So we also reserve certain persons for as symbols. It doesn't mean that we're blind and worshipping a cult around a person, but like we're reflecting on the good qualities and seeing amongst a variety of human beings, people that have developed a certain genius in a certain area, very hard to find. I remember in my studies in university, we once had a physics professor from Berkeley coming. He was treated like a god by all the by the other physics professors, which actually they're not into cultish behavior at all. It's pure veneration of the special achievements. He was a Nobel Prize winner, so so we have these like symbols or these like points that help us unify and help us find some orientation. And if they're done wisely and they're constantly being renewed by our own reflection, then they can be really helpful for us not to lose ground in our practice. For example, mother and father, respect for mother and father is something that in the society I grew up has been quite forgotten and say abolished in many ways. Like with many other benefits, like people are self-reliant, they've got a life that is self-determined, and they are creative and innovative about their attitudes. But the particular link, for example, to see the motherly, fatherly qualities in close proximity in one's own family have gone overboard, and in the society where I grew up. And it took a while for me to realize that there is mother and father, which, as we know, is a quote from the Buddha. It's like a quote for worldly right view. Mother, like you can say a bit more, pushing it, mother and father are to be respected for what they are. They are mother and father. They gave birth to you. They have raised you. They've given you even language and whatever emotional skills and intelligence we possess, we've inherited or like have been taught by them. And so these say icons or like not symbols but like points for having a refuge or an anchor within our social life and within our working life. They are very important, and a Buddhist culture, or like the old Asian culture, we can say, I'm very sure the old Indian culture has many of these values, either directly from the Buddha or from other great wise teachers. China has a lot of inbuilt social values and norms. They carry us to a huge amount, and these days, when practices like facing suffering, facing stress, facing existential crisis get so uprooting to people, I think it is partly because we don't have that network of support anymore, or those points of references where we can always rely on. And in the modern society, we've moved towards, it's all about me. It's all about my way of doing it. It's all about my views, my opinions, my political path, my, say, peers, my ways of looking and decorating myself, and just talking about the tattoos again, for example. It is so much where there's an identity and the atta comes in, and the more horizontal network where we can rely on has got less. And so I, in many ways, having become a monk in northeast Thailand, I feel fortunate to have like revisited some cultural values that I believe are representative for a wise reflection around one's dependencies in society and one's models and one's inspirations. I think many of us know how little we can rely on pop stars, football, cricket, or whatever stars, even politicians as a moral backbone. And I used to say, like in Ban Bung Wai, our village in Bung Wai, about 20, 30 years ago, the hero of Bung Wai was Luang Por Chah. Like, it's just unbelievably cool. And the ideal was if I could become a monk, and that would be great. These days, I don't know what kind of stars they have, but it's like all kinds of YouTube, Facebook hits, and whatever, like people with colored hairs and whatever. I don't know. I just don't want to get too negative about it. But that timeless feeling of associating with the wise, supporting that which is worthy of support, and honoring which is worthy of honor, having a sense of respect, having a sense of looking after each other. This is part of a culture that we have to rely on when we practice facing dukkha, when we practice facing impermanence, when we practice facing death, we practice facing the ugly sides of life. So it's not only the context of monastics can practice Asupa Kammatthana and lay people can't. It's more the context of like having a good social, warm relationship and a good surrounding and valuing things that are really valuable, and making support for, or like giving support for things worthy of support, having the Dhamma in a high place and not just casually visiting it and then dismissing it for the next event, to treasure it and to venerate the teachings of the Buddha. So this is not about a cult, and it's not about like brainwashing people, but it's about seeing the value and meaning and not being superficial with things. So then I believe all the practices that we do are done skillfully and are done in terms of creating a cushion of good karma as well. Say, for example, it's not so easy to say like, yeah, through bowing to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, you make good karma. Like, so somebody who's like got a cynical, worldly attitude and this possibly comes to a monastery with a very materialistic attitude. 3 bows don't do it. But the heart inclining towards Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, whether one actually carries out the bows or not, but the genuine respect for it, that's what is the merit, and that was makes us feel secure, makes us feel carried, and the whole sense of being blessed with opportunities, using them well, and then taking the chance to rise up to the occasion, not to for worldly gains, but for some noble cause, noble path, for the sense of letting go of one's personal preferences, being able to share, being able to abandon things, giving away time to other people, giving away material things to other people, and doing that with an understanding why we do this, and how beautiful it is when this culture of giving, sharing, and upholding values creates a sense of safety for everybody in there. Whereas in a sense of where I lived before in Berlin, like these things have gone lost. Like people don't know their names of their neighbors. You dare you knock on the door of somebody who you don't know. They're not pointing a gun at you, but like they're looking at you as if you were a beggar, a robber, thief, killer. So sense of suspicion is there. It's like a homo homini lupus, like people are wolves to each other, society of like decline. So that's why the Buddha also praises noble friendship, kalyana mittata, like friendship in a sense being gentle, being worthy, cultured, having values, not doing useless things, talking nonsensical stuff, like not chit chat here, like a right speech about things that matter. It can be anything. Why do you look so sad today? Or how's it going with your math homework? And things that care, not stuff where I'm better, I'm cooler, I know, you don't. And that showing off thing, say noble friendship, good friendship, kalyana mittata, is like not spurring one another person to senseless aims, like abusing for one's own purposes, or say showing off and things like that. So to have a profound way of living with each other is a very important thing. Personally, it hinges on a sense of sila, of course, and something that we share, and we reaffirm every now and again as Buddhist practitioners. We reaffirm that we keep sila, we keep the recommendations of the Lord Buddha for our conduct. Sometimes we commit ourselves very explicitly. Sometimes we live in a very vague context of generosity, friendship, and support. So there are times when we can rely on our inner intentions very clearly because we're aware of them. For example, personal planning of one's next phase of life can be very well guided by a wish for peace and happiness and doing something useful in society. But it can also be guided by some social norms. For example, in Thailand, the social norms are before you get married, you become a monk for a month or for 3 months and so forth. So that's not something to look down upon as rites and rituals, but it is a cornerstone that helps people become very clear about how their personal aspirations will unfold in their life. It's something to sometimes take stock of and be able to say, yeah, I've done this. Like I've come to a point where I'm sure I want to do something very, very wholesome in my life. I think in ancient India there's phases of life where you go through, and the hermit phase is one of them. Later in life, and the Thais somehow do it earlier, and whatever helps us find a point of reference that is utterly wholesome, that becomes an icon of goodness for ourselves, where we can rely on in times of need. For example, we see so many people in Buddhist cultures are into building up dana paramita, offering things. Sometimes it means all the world to them to have offered a katina robe or a Buddha image or say a bell to a monastery or so. It's not that the monastery wouldn't survive without the bell, but it's the feeling, I have a point of reference, this I have done. This is something I can count my blessings for. I can in times of like when everything is falling down and everything is disintegrating, like Anish said, like multitasking 5-6 jobs a day. When I was, at least in the morning, I've been offering rice to the monks, for example. So something where we've got certain points to take stock of what we're doing. They're tools for becoming aware of our actions. And I believe we're in the phase of building this up in our own community here, rather like than using a template that is already existing. It's a bit of a pioneering work for our own group here too. But I think we've come a long way, and we should already celebrate that in many ways. It's not meaning that like we're counting our chickens before they're hatched, but like there's a lot of wholesome activities brought to the point, and this is like when we sit down and are taking stock and saying, okay, my life is short, I'm not sure what to expect, believe Greta Thunberg or not, but like things are not going to get better the older we get. So then we refer and fall back to, but I've done good things. I've done my homework. I've not wasted my opportunity, and right now I have the opportunity. I can sit down and watch my breath. I can sit down and feel. I can let go of the past. I can let go of the future. All I need is to be happy in the present moment. I'm free from illnesses reasonably. Like most of us, we don't have too much knee pain, back pain. We can still sit. At least at least we can sit on a chair. We can also be happy for that. And like counting one's blessings is one of the exercises that we do in our meditation practice, and also nourishing them. So seemingly daunting topics of this ugly body, filthy, being cast away like a log, doesn't really affect us. We know it's kind of like Sankachayana, the Chinese Buddha image of the fat Buddha, just happy, smiling. We kind of go through thick and thin, no problem, no worries. So I've opened up another topic, and anybody got some comments and questions around?
Hari, can you pass the mic back?
Ajahn, I just wanted to understand something correctly.
Yeah.
From the different suttas that you've discussed, kind of given us a different perspective on it, which means that most of the suttas are open to understanding them differently. Because in my mind, I thought a sutta was intended for a singular purpose. But it doesn't seem so. It seems that if it helps you imbibe a wholesome quality or helps you get over a defilement, a certain interpretation, that is valid. So, which essentially means suttas are open to interpretation, any kind of interpretation, as long as it is wholesome. Is that right?
Well, I'd be a bit careful. Not any kind of interpretation. The suttas actually say very clearly what they intend to, but there's so many of them. For example, the third part of the 32 parts of the body, if you were to Google it, so to say, in the Tipitaka, you find it in quite a few contexts, and it's not just only in one version. So in one way, this is where we can choose and where we can have an emphasis. And I found the suttas generally, the Pali Canon, they're very, very well supportive of each other like this. The interpretations aren't arbitrary, that they carry a certain meaning in certain contexts, but the building blocks you can actually recognize in various places and use in different shades. And there are very specific situations. For example, the Buddha kind of talking with wanderers of other sects that had, for example, eternalist views or so, or the Buddha may be talking to a sick person or so. You can go by case, but also the recurring themes. You can collect a few occurrences and then use them and then apply them to your own practice and be creative with it. I do believe you can take those building blocks of the suttas, for example, the passage on the 32 parts of the body, and use it in the way that you've read in various contexts in the sutta. So it's not completely one's own creativity. If you read through a few things about, for example, what the Buddha says about sensual pleasures, it's like a big topic, and you'll feel see various variations to that. And the one that speaks to you most is the one that you naturally start incorporating in your practice. And then from there you notice, oh, it's also related to this. Oh, the Buddha also talks about it in this context. And then it broadens and it gets linked into the whole well proclaimed Dhamma, where things are actually really well in place. So as long as one does keep one's eyes open and looks to the way the Buddha actually has used these dhammas, and I think it's pretty safe. You can like be a little bit creative with it and use what speaks to you most, and then enhance it, and with say looking left and right. And does that make sense? It's not completely freestyle, and you'll find a huge amount of consistency in the Pali Canon. So if you find a particular passage, it's very rare that this passage gets quoted in the suttas out of context, so to say, in a strange way. It's very rare, and it's almost not existent. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the Pali Canon. Is just very consistent, the way things are building on each other. And if there is the usage of particular phrase or so in an abnormal way, then we can ponder upon it again and try to make sense of it. And but like the background of the teachings always fits into the very, very simple instructions of the Buddha, say anicca, dukkha, anatta, or the Four Noble Truths. And the same for our practice, as long as we use the say components of a particular passage from the suttas for our practice. If we're all doing this for the sense of realizing impermanence, for the sense of not self, not seeing ourselves as part of nature and intertwined, or five khandhas and so forth, and for the sake of seeing the causes of dukkha and abandoning the causes of dukkha, then we're almost always on the safe side. And these slightly creative interpretations of how to use the quotes from the suttas, or can also be Dhammapada quotes or so, like very famous Buddhist sayings or so. If we have this general groundedness in what we call right view, then actually it's allowable to experiment a little bit. And I would say we're not experimenting for the fun of it. We're experimenting in that sense. We're feeling out what speaks to us. Is this inspiring to us? And the thing that is inspiring and makes sense to us, we can immediately use for practice and explore it further. And then, of course, we have to connect it with our situation and say, it's perfectly all right to do body contemplation using an anatomy book instead of the 32 parts of the body, for example. It doesn't have to follow. It could be also 64 parts of the body. It doesn't have to be 32 in that sense. But it's good enough for a start. And say, I always found it funny that, like in the 32 parts of the body, the stomach doesn't occur. It's only bowels and intestines, which actually is the same thing. So, so there's some oddities in there. Or like one of the suttas in the first suttas that I actually did memorize and already long time forgot is the Girimananda Sutta, which is a sutta that the Buddha taught for healing and for its healing purposes, like 10 reflections for overcoming sickness, and taught to Venerable Girimananda, and he told Venerable Ananda to tell Girimananda, who is sick, these 10 perceptions: anicca sanya, anatta sanya, asubha sanya, pahana sanya, viraga sanya, nirodha sanya, and so forth, all the way to anapanasati. So I memorized them, and there's this passage called Adinava Sanya, which is says contemplation on the perception of the unattractiveness or the disadvantages, like Adinava, disadvantages of whatever, the world and so forth. But it turns out to be a list of ancient illnesses Chakku roka, sota roko, kana roko, chiva roko, kaya roko, kanna roko, mukha roko, and whatnot. It goes on, roko. And first I felt weird, and why am I memorizing this ancient set of illnesses? They don't exist anymore, ringworms and whatnot. Maybe, yeah. And it should be something like HIV, diabetes, and Zika fever.
In fact, I was about to ask a question related to mental sickness. So if somebody has a psychiatric ailment like depression or bipolar disorder or even schizophrenia, so is any kind of practice recommended for them?
Yes, definitely. I would say if you have that kind of condition, or like if you know somebody has that kind of condition, please do stay away from any challenges that are kind of making oneself feel insecure, and only use the things that are giving one a big backwind and a big uplift, and the more joyous parts, and the practices that we do when we're in an unstable part, like phase of life, they should help us to get stability, and they should be explicitly noticeable. For example, what I just said about counting one's blessings, that one is able to say to oneself, yes, I've been doing this. I've been doing some chanting for a whole hour, thinking about Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, or I've been giving a gift to my mother on her birthday. I've called her, or like spreading metta, loving kindness, and doing practices that are on the spectrum of positive emotions, and to rather not go into the direction of saying I'm facing the negative emotions and I'm going to disarm them through my mindfulness and wisdom, because the mindfulness and wisdom might not be strong enough to do this. Like generally, the Buddha has the approach, I would say, to face dukkha and face and understand and be aware of obstacles. So this is a general principle which I believe in therapy gets used a lot. Like, for example, simply stating, this is my state of mind, this is what I'm going through. It's almost like accepting one's limitations, accepting one's problems, saying, I get anxious when this, that, and that, or I get carried away with this and that. For example, in an eating disorder, to be able to simply see, this will trigger it, this is triggering it, I have this condition. So this falls in line with the first part of the Four Noble Truths. Dukkha should be completely understood, should be known. Yeah, like this is the mindfulness approach to the mental instability is to just to label it and to say, like, this is dangerous, this is gloomy, this feels insecure, this feels challenging, this feels arousing, this feels aggravating, this feels like a panic to me. Just to be able to say that's one part, but at the same time to enhance the things that are on the side of like tangible refuges, like where you can say, I've always done the good practice of helping to wash the dishes at home, for example, or in school, or like that, to have a consistency of effort in a wholesome way, in a way that where you can say, whatever happens in my life, I've done good deeds. I've done my sacrifice to the community. I've helped people. I've done a donation. I've done a birthday present. I've to be on the side of the wholesome dhammas. And in terms of mental practice, like to cultivate the Brahma viharas. This is still one part of the reflective chants that I haven't touched on very much yet, but it is to use the metta chants as a practice for oneself, rather than the chants that are going towards say the challenges in life, or instability, or old age, sickness, death, but to emphasize the positive sides. That intuitively makes sense, doesn't it? If somebody is in a difficult state of mind, to stay away from things that are scary, possibly have say connotations of fear, or say unreliability. So even though, having said that, for somebody who's in a balanced state of mind, it is at some point, sooner or later, necessary to come to terms with impermanence, with sickness, with old age, with the loss of loved ones, and so forth. And it's part of therapy for everybody in one way. But one needs to be strong enough, one needs to have a cushion of being well situated in good karma. And so, particularly talking about bipolar, as far as I understand, it's sometimes that when one has bipolar condition, that one is very sky high, very inspired, and loses perspective almost in a too positive way, and then falls down into very, very deep states of depression and negativity, and whatever this is caused by or so, but it is very important just to be able to recognize when things are coming, when one is deviating from one's average, when there's signs of I'm getting carried away, I'm so bliss, I'm so much inspired, and I believe I'm enlightened. I have to be very, very careful and just stay on the ground, do normal practices of bringing back the awareness into the body, for example, simply walking up and down, taking refuge in the Buddha as an absolutely normal human being. The Buddha being possessed with mindfulness and wisdom, compassion, understanding of all kinds of levels of existence, and a wise teacher, and not some kind of superhuman refuge, but the human refuge. So the Buddha and the Dhamma is everything in nature is okay. There are ups and downs. That's fine. The sun rises. The sun will also fall again, and there will be rain. They have that reflectivity on the normal, average rhythms of life, and being able to see them as normal. And the extreme emotions, we can just think of to smile towards them like the Buddha, smile, not have to laugh or cry, just smile. It's just a middle way of smiling. But these are theory. It is in theory. I think anybody would subscribe to that. That's a healthy way of life. But to get to know one's own emotions, to have a stable basis of activity, which is wholesome, doing things in an aware way without being prone to a dynamic of being carried away by them. And also, I think, speaking of our own experience in the monastery, whenever there are people losing the balance, so there is also some physical component to it. It's not just that it all is, you can all just meditate it away or so. It's very important that meditation is a tool, but sometimes, say for example, I give the example of somebody drinking too much coffee, constantly drinking coffee, and the mind always agitated, always running wild. he'll sit down and meditate. He can sit up and meditate 10 hours, but he'll have like all kinds of nightmares while he's meditating. He'll be kind of agitated just because of the chemical substance that aggravates the thinking process in a frantic way, in an imbalanced way. So I'm trying to say that there is a material, a chemical side to it. So I do encourage people to take modern medicine, which can smooth out the extreme situations or the imbalances. So the approach, self-healing through my mindfulness and wisdom, sometimes is not possible. If somebody, say for example, you meditate and develop peace of mind, but you're constantly under caffeine, and you can see how like that mind won't be able to calm down. Or like say sometimes like surroundings, like say, yeah, like of course, like somebody who's like really skilled can sit in the middle of a highway and be not disturbed by the noise, but every normal human being would be feeling that's too much. So then go to a quiet place and go to a place that feels safe and good. So it's common sense a bit, and it's not that the meditation or the Dhamma will perform miracles, but it's a very good tool for monitoring oneself and getting to know oneself, getting to know one's limitations, getting to know when things start getting off, and being realistic and honest about it. This is part of like how we approach dukkha, with honesty, accepting, yeah, dukkha. This is dukkha. This is suffering. There's a cause to it. Let's look at it. So being able to, being ready for therapy, it means actually to realize there's dukkha. It means I'm ready for therapy. It's not like pushing away. I don't need it. I'll meditate. Does that make sense? But please do stay. Like encourage people that have that condition, not to do things that they are afraid of, or like not to take too many challenges, and be grounded in wholesome actions. Practice metta bhavana. Metta bhavana means like to sense your own inner sense of goodwill, your honest, wholesome aspirations, and the pure intentions, wishing everybody happiness, peace, wishing yourself happiness and peace, starting with oneself. That's a very important task, to start metta bhavana with oneself. One has to generate a source of inner strength, inner goodness that one actually really feels, and it's not that one has the imperative, I have to make everybody else happy now, so my metta, but it's more or less like, I wish myself real happiness, real peace. And then if we do that for a whole hour or 2 hours, it will naturally spill over to others. Okay? You don't have to do anything, it's just like there. And it's not like, we just gotta give something, gotta share, and so, but we're kind of starting with generating it in an honest way in our own heart, and then it's boundless already. It'll once it's there, you won't be able to hold it. That's Yes, please.
I just wanted to. I was reading a statement that we should keep away from foolish people.
Yes.
Now, this statement, when it is seen from the point of view of having compassion for people, or having loving kindness for all the human being, and then also to grade somebody a foolish would be, something. Because he doesn't agree with me, or he's not as knowledgeable as me, or maybe something else. And we see it day in and day out, because as a lay person, we move around, we meet people of different aptitudes, different strengths. So would it not be contrary to this feeling, because that may give arrogance, develop arrogance? This is what I wanted to know from you.
Yeah, Sadhu, I've had that before. It's like I've had like monks that say, Ajahn Kevali, I've seen through you.
One request was, please keep your mic slightly closer to you so that, as an old person, maybe the hearing loss is there.
Okay. So I've been through that after having had novices and monks, junior monks live with me, at some point they judge me and say, sorry, I've decided I'm not living with a fool anymore. I need a new teacher. And what? So it can be slightly arrogant and dismissive to define somebody else as a fool. I think it's definitely not something to say or so, but it's a quite wise choosing of like who you associate with. Say, for example, if somebody doesn't keep sila and is somebody who doesn't have similar moral standards as you, it is very, very difficult to live with, and it may well be better to part ways. If somebody is cheating, and it'll affect you, it'll take away the basis of friendship, and one would be well advised not to invest much. On the other hand, there's always the feeling of wanting to help, wanting to correct, wanting to point out, give guidance and so forth. And but I believe like the association with fools, like the way it is put that bluntly, is just a rule of thumb. Say if somebody's drunk, for example, like we can't invite him to a meditation class. He just won't be able to do it. We have to say, go sleep three weeks and come back. So we don't have to block it forever, and but like we can say, no, just go now, yeah. Or like a kid has got his like stubborn phase and is throwing a tantrum at the mother, instead of like the kid kicking the mother, just leave the kid alone for a while. It's very, I think it's very explicitly black and white in that way, but it doesn't mean that one should start judging people and say, oh, you're a fool, you got it right, you got it wrong, you're not good enough for me anymore. And be very arrogant. And it's also something that we can quietly decide for ourselves. We're usually very cautious to pass judgment on other people, but to associate with people that are worthy of emulation, that's the other part. Like the associate with the wise is the second line. Sevana cha balanang panditanang cha sevana. It's so much more the humble way. You can commit yourself to be the student of a wise pandit, and rather than hanging out in pubs or whatever parties and so forth. People are mainly, it's about sila. People are being dishonest, or it can be a real moral conflict. Suppose you're working in a company that has got dubious, corrupt standards. It can actually be like one of the reasons to quit the job, to say, look, I won't corrupt my sila, I won't do these corrupt things, and I won't cheat. And if you formulate it for yourself, then it's very honorable. You say, I won't be with you because you are cheating. It sounds a bit harsh, I would agree. Can do it in a humble way for choosing to associate with the wise rather than going for the like declaring others as a fool. But the recognition is, in this vast mass of samsara, there are people that are on a very, very different wavelength, and they lack the fundamental trustworthiness. And it is important not to emulate these people. For example, what I just mentioned, rock stars and drug addicts. In one way, a whole generation of hippies are following people that are on LSD trips. So it's not very wise, or I don't know. If it's meant to help and find ways of guidance, it's also a question of time and place. Having had experiences myself living with a person in a mental breakdown situation, there are times when we have to say, actually, he or she is inaccessible to us. They're actually not asking for my advice. They actually don't want to be helped. In certain areas, there are situations that are blocked. And then to come with that idea, I know what you're doing is very foolish, but I can help you. If the person actually isn't ready for the help, you'd just drain your resources. But if you wait for a while, until that person actually sees, and you yourself do your good practices, and you're convincing in a subtle way of your own example, then he or she might turn towards you when he or she is ready to take the help. So, does that make sense? Yeah, it's not black and white, and yeah.
How does one motivate in a family, the family members, to be, to follow the path of Buddha? Because leading by example also sometimes is not helping. So in the present generation and in the present world, when it would have been much better for many of the people to come to this sort of following, but it's not happening. So this is a challenge as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I think one needs a lot of patience, and one's own good example does affect people, but they may not see it straight away, and one has to be even better in one's example, and wait, have the humbleness to stick with it. What doesn't work is like to try to persuade somebody who isn't ready. Like just similarly
say somebody's in the job and somebody's mostly people, or the student and the younger generation, who are in the colleges or schools. One would like them to meditate, but it's not becoming possible. I tried many a times personally to motivate my next generation and the third generation, but somehow I am failing to motivate them.
Sometimes, yeah. Like I'm also kind of shaking my head and thinking I don't know what to do. Like, and somehow it seems like difficult if the interests are so contrary. And I would revert to the law of karma, saying people are not the same. There are some people that are ready for meditation, and some people aren't. And if for those people that aren't ready for meditation, maybe you can give other guidance. For example, somebody's into football playing, then play fair, or develop the skills of playing rather than being just aggressive or so. Or if somebody is addicted to video games, then maybe there is a way of like, it takes a lot of work, you know, to understand somebody who's like in that place, but sometimes through praising some of their better skills, that one gets credit. They won't take the whole package of turning off the game thing, but maybe through finding that little part of what they're doing that is wholesome, and trying to take them up on that and praise them. Many times people are not in for being criticized or being corrected, but what works a lot is like seeing some of the good sides and praising them for that tiny amount of goodness that they have. For example, that they're not playing 24 hours a day, but they're maybe resting 4 hours at night. So, saying great. But to get everybody to meditate is impossible. It's just like, yeah. This thing, also the beauty of Buddhism is like it's pasiko. It's just like we invite them, and that's all we do. We're not knocking on their door. We're not telling them you get this and that reward, or like. And there's various parts of the teaching that can pick up people on various levels. For example, in an unethical society, in corrupt places or so, even if people are not very honest about their livelihood or so, they can still offer dana, for example. They can still do that. They may not be able to keep sila, but they can at least support something good. So sometimes, like the sharing aspect, like say that people have like the opportunity to support something in a way that makes sense to them. They may not be able to go to the next level of keeping sila and being honest and like refraining from intoxicants, but at least to help an old woman over the street, or do little acts of loving kindness and support, even if it's not for religion but for a good purpose in some other way. That dana is something that actually even very crooked people can do. So it's just like a least common denominator. I don't think we can ever get Buddhism to be like a mass movement. Like you can't really kind of persuade somebody to be, say, wise. Come on, be wise. Try that with your grandson or granddaughter. Come on, be reasonable. I don't want to be reasonable. People are childish, and that's why the Buddha actually didn't want to teach in the beginning. He just said, we'll be just reaping weariness. Luckily, there are some people that have got little dust in their eyes, and we'll have to live with that. We won't be able to reach everybody, but I would encourage you not to give up the idea of being a good example, because that's the only way. I think. Like, let's say the other way, if one deviates from having one's own moral integrity and one's own, say, convincingly beautiful conduct, then if one were to deviate from that, one has got no grounds anymore to reach anybody else. If when oneself were to say, it's not, I don't care anymore. Shall we have 10 minutes break? Okay.